Hello. Second video to post here, and appreciate the opportunity to do it. Wanted to share and talk about a couple of things. This video is in part rather for information, and the other part is just a vent for a minute over two things that are concerning me. And one is the coverage of the general election for 2012 by the main and alternative media, and the other is these recent attacks on U.S. embassies and consulates abroad. I'm particularly concerned how the coverage has gone and the way the coverage has gone, and the way in which they have covered it, rather, with highlights and snippets and sound bites, talking heads. It's been a cavalcade. There's been no truly sitting down, talking about the issue or issues of concern, getting to the crux of the matter, why it is, what it is that's going on is happening, the reason behind it, who's caused it, what's it all about, and what really is the benefit for free people, and in particularly the free citizens of the United States of America. Nobody seems to be interested in doing that in the media, but especially at CNN. And I want to talk about CNN for a minute. CNN has this big claim, this big moniker, that they are the worldwide leader in news, and that no noteworthy or erstwhile news organization other than CNN does the kind of news coverage that they do, nor will you, the consumer, because let's face it, that's what you and I are, we're consumers. Will the consumer get the kind of news coverage anywhere else but CNN? But yet when you get down to brass tacks and you look at it and you get to the nitty-gritty, CNN has failed to do the one thing that it's supposed to do every day, and that is report the news to you and I as it is written and as it happens. And they particularly failed in these two instances, in these two regards, in the coverage now, most especially of the general election cycle, and the 5 viable, and when I say viable, I mean they're on the ballot in pretty much all 50 states. They're in polling, be it national polling or battleground state polling, and they have a 15% or better polling ratio when they're polled. And the 5 viable candidates that I'm speaking of as far as the presidency of the United States goes is, of course, our current president, Barack Obama, followed by former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, followed by former Governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson, then Dr. Jill Stein, and then finally former U.S. Congressman Virgil Goode. You've got a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, a Green Party candidate, and a Constitution Party candidate. Those are five viable candidates for the presidency of the United States of America. And all 5 of these candidates have in some way, shape, form, or fashion have made it into the news. They made it into the news online, but not on air. And when I say on air, on your and my television sets at home, and at work, and church, and other civic organizations that we participate in on a daily basis. CNN fails to report accurately, fully, and completely polling data from places like Reuters and Ipsos, Luntz Global, CalWorks, U.S. News and World Report, USA Today, and then finally their own sister magazine, online news magazine rather. Time is still in print, of course, but they're online too as well, and that's Time magazine. Each one of these organizations that I've named either polls and has polled on a month-by-month basis since the primary process for president began up until now through the general election cycle. Each one of these candidates based on the criteria that I just described. But does CNN report that on their airwaves? I just know, but hell no. So what's the deal? What's the problem? Why is the on-air viewer any more or any less important than the online viewer? Just because I have a computer or you have a computer or somebody else has a computer doesn't make me any more or any less special than the one that doesn't. The one that does not have the computer, that does not have access to the internet, deserves to be told the truth just as much as the one that does. News is news is news. Okay? And these people are vying for the highest and best office in the free and overlooked civilized world. But does CNN bother to discuss that, debate that, advise and consent on that? I just no, but hell no. The other thing, these attacks on U.S. embassies and United States consulates, in the Middle East and around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, these consulates and these embassies are sovereignties of the United States of America. They're property of the United States of America, property of the United States federal government, property of we the people. And for Americans, American citizens, free and equal citizens of the United States of America, lost their lives in defense of that sovereignty. Now, CNN and other erstwhile news organizations would have you and I and everybody else in the free world to believe that only two things caused this. One, of course, being this online video bashing Prophet Muhammad and the religion of Islam, Islamic religion, and then this pastor down in Florida, this Pastor Terry Jones, his burning of the Qurans. All wrong things, to be sure. Okay? We don't burn Bibles here in the United States. Shouldn't burn any other kind of religious book here in the United States. Period. Okay? But free speech is free speech. And Terry Jones took it upon himself to exercise his right for free speech. That's a given and that's a granted. It was the wrong way, but that was his way nonetheless. This other gentleman, this Coptic Christian in California, who chose to make this online video bashing Prophet Muhammad and the religion of Islam, again, his right of free speech is his right of free speech. The method and practice of presentation of the free speech was wrong, but it's his right nonetheless to do. But CNN And the current ambassador to the United Nations for the United States, Dr. Susan Rice, would like for us very much to believe that those two things and those two things alone cause these attacks on these United States embassies and consulates. Folks, if you believe that, I've got some swampland in New Jersey that I'd like to sell you. I really would. Reach out to me. Okay? It's prime land, and I'll sell it to you real cheap. I don't know what kind of people there are running CNN these days, in charge of CNN, and frankly, I don't care. Okay? But to me, they're like spoiled little children, running around, having temper tantrums and fits and points of rage and contention and dissension and strife. And when you have a child that is unruly and undisciplined and acting out of place and acting out of line, that child needs to be corrected. That child in this case, his parent, or parents I should say, is AOL Time Warner. AOL Time Warner has failed and continues to fail to discipline its child. Instead, they just give their child creative license to put a cavalcade of talking heads and cutesy-tootsy, tongue-in-cheek, hat-in-hand, story to match, make me feel good about my prejudices anchors on their airwaves, right? Because they want to kick the can down the road. They don't want to report the news as written. They don't want to report that the free world, okay, pardon my French, is in a shitstorm right now. Okay? They don't want to report that because that doesn't make them feel good about their prejudices. And folks like Anderson Cooper want to feel good about their prejudices. They don't want to have to do their job, which is reporting the news. Okay? The news as written and as it happens. It's that simple. It's really not a hard job when you get right down to it. Okay? And being as we are in the 24/7 news cycle, right, and in the 21st century, and the post 9/11 modern day world that we're in, news happens at a fever pace. And you would think between Atlanta and New York City, respectively, and Washington, D.C., that CNN would have someone somewhere with the time on their hands to report the news fully and completely and in context, and not in sound bites, snippets, and highlights, and headlights, and lowlights, and this and that and that and this. But they don't want to do that because that doesn't make them feel good about their prejudices. And let's be honest, they have prejudices, they have biases. Now, there will be some that when they look at this video, they'll say, well, you don't have to watch that channel. You can change that channel. There's 50 different other news organizations you can watch. Okay? Yeah, that's true. There's stuff online like Democracy Now!, Newsy, The Blaze, Glenn Beck's TV thing that he's doing with Dish Network, other things. Yeah, they're all there. Okay? But why would I want to do that? Especially when it's two wings of the same bird, and I'm just going to get really more of the same when you get right down to it. Yeah, Anderson Cooper is only on CNN, but what's the difference between Anderson Cooper and, let's say, Bret Baier on Fox News? What really is the difference? Okay? Other than hair color. What really is the difference? Okay? or I don't know, let's say Candy Crowley versus Rachel Maddow. What's the difference? What's the difference? It's two wings of the same bird, two ends of the same out, two sides of the same coin. There once was a time when CNN was first started and founded by Ted Turner, when you could turn that program on, turn that particular news organization on, and get all the facts. And those facts were undisputed because they were backed up by competent and capable news reporters. People who could do more than just find the anchor desk in the dark, okay? And certainly do more than tweak their field producer and say, what's going on in the world today? How do you think Occupy Wall Street, the Arab Spring got started? Social media. Social media is doing the job of news organizations. News organizations, by the way, like CNN, that should be doing that job, which is reporting the news. We are doing their job for them. If I had any sense and I was running CNN, okay, and I had any say-so about it, I would say, folks, we're losing the battle here. We're supposed to be the ones reporting on this. We're supposed to be the ones driving the narrative. We're supposed to be the ones reporting the facts as written. Not Twitter. Certainly not Facebook. We're the ones that's supposed to be doing that. We built that. We are building that, or we were building that. And Ted Turner, despite whatever agreements or disagreements you may have with him, Ted Turner wanted to be a part of something greater than himself. And he did that. Okay? He built that. He built CNN. And it's a shame to see what his endeavor has become. It is a spoiled, rotten, temper tantrum ridden child, okay, that needs to be spanked. AOL Time Warner, the parent company of CNN, needs to bend CNN over its knee and spank CNN and put CNN back on the straight and narrow. Or they need to close up shop. Now CNN is looking bad. I mean, they're looking real bad, okay? When I turn on CNN, all I see are talking heads. I don't see news reporters. I don't see Bernard Shaw. I don't see Judy Woodruff, okay? Yeah, those folks are long retired, okay? But those were news reporters. Those were people that did the job of news reporting, that went out and got to the crux of the matter, okay? And that reported that the world in which we know it, okay, was in a shitstorm for whatever reason, okay? And held no qualms or bones about it. They reported it as written and as it happened, okay? And they did it in such a way that it didn't want to make folks feel good about their prejudices, because the truth doesn't make folks feel good about their prejudices. So here's the deal. I'm challenging CNN. I'm calling AOL Time Warner out. Do your job. Report the news. Report it accurately, report it completely, and report it fairly on your air and online, or close up shop. It's that simple. Close up shop. Do myself and the rest of the world a favor and fall on the sword. If you can't do it, fall on the sword. Close up. Okay? Set the example. I would much rather myself see Ted Turner's dream ended, okay, rather than it be continued as a nightmare, because that's what it is. It's a nightmare. And anybody that says that it's not, they need their head examined. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.